All right, we're live now. I want to double check that it's working now. Every time I do. All right, it is working. Every time I run a live power up call, there's like a 50% chance that the audio goes completely bad if I use my headphones. But I like using my headphones because I can check that the audio works. So it's this weird circular problem. And like I like to say, there's only one Mr. Producer out there. I am not the guy who's going to be able to run these calls perfectly. I am not an expert live streamer. I am an expert copywriter. And I like to talk to you guys about that. So we got audio. We got the live chat going here. I can see your comments. We're going to be talking about sleep. Now, sleep is extremely important and it's misunderstood and it's difficult for a lot of you to get right. So before we dive in, I'm curious if you can put in the chat how much sleep you get roughly each night. Like what's your average amount of sleep that you get each night? I'm going to wait for a second here, see what you guys put in the chat. I'm curious how much you guys currently are sleeping each night because I have a few ideas, a few thoughts that I think will help you one way or the other. So wait for these chats to run in. 4 to 6 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 to 7, 7, 6. Okay. 4 to 7, 6 to 10, 6 to 10. Wow. 7. So most of you guys are getting a pretty good amount of sleep roughly per night. A few of you guys are closer to the 5 to 6, 6 hours, 8 hours. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about sleep. Yeah, well, I dedicate 8 hours, but I probably get 6 hours, sometimes 4, 8 to 9. Okay, so we've got a pretty good range of sleep. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about why sleep's important, how to do it right, and how to avoid falling into the traps that surround sleep, especially when you start working as an entrepreneur, as a guy who's working for himself, in business for himself, accomplishing his own goals. It's really key, and it has a big thing to do with how you manage your time. So, sleep is important for a lot of reasons. I'm going to tell you what happens to people when they don't sleep right. I've been talking to people, and there's a lot of people inside the program. It sounds like a couple of you guys here as well, who, as you go through life, and you start working on bigger projects and you have things going on and you're trying to manage multiple priorities inside of your life, you tend to get less sleep, less and less sleep. You get 4 hours, maybe 6 hours. Maybe you're down there at the 4 to 2, like the 2 to 4 hours for a couple of, for a long time. And you try and keep an advanced pace like that because you're trying to push forward and make all your goals happen, which is extremely important. Like you should attack life at that way. But if you carry that out long enough, you usually your physical body, along with your brain, starts to experience a level of fatigue that makes creativity and focus difficult. So if you're struggling with creativity and focus, in addition to some of your problems, if you're having a hard time actually implementing your time management, a lot of times, most of the time, I'd say a lot of times, if you know how to do practices, if you're putting your phone away when you're working, if you're trying to do deep work sessions, if you're having a hard time actually sticking to that, and you've done it well in the past, but you're not doing so well now, I will ask you to examine your sleep. Are you sleeping enough? Have you got enough sleep recently? Because this is typically how it works, right? If you stay in that war mode for too long, your physical body becomes so fatigued and your brain becomes so fatigued that it's difficult to stay focused and it's difficult to become creative. Your brain drops down to 20, 30% of what it's normally capable of, right? Which is bad because as a copywriter, you need to have your brain at 100% in order to produce the winning ideas that will change a client's business, that will change a market, that will revolutionize the world inside of that area. You need to be at your maximum brain capacity to usually get that done, right? Now, I'm not saying you should just sit around and wait until you're 100% all the time. Like you can obviously work really well when you're tired, and you should work well while you are tired. But if you notice that your mental faculties are starting to suffer and you know that you haven't been sleeping, it's been a while since you've got enough full restful sleep, then you probably should address that if you want to be successful in the long term. Short term, it's extremely powerful for you to do a sprint. This is how I like to run my sleep. This is how I do it. So I will set a few really compelling goals, right? Big chunks of projects that I want to take out and take care of as quickly and efficiently as possible. And I will go into full war mode for about 3 to 4 days, right? Where I'm sleeping, anywhere from 3 to at max 6 hours a night. I can't sleep anymore. I wake up at like 4 in the morning. It's like, dude, I really want to keep conquering the world, right? Get up, get to go, like get straight into work, dive in, work like a madman for 3 to 4 days. And then once I've checked that big project off, I usually take a day or two and I give myself as much sleep as my body wants for that day, right? Go to sleep at like a normal time, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I don't set an alarm clock. I just sleep. And I wake up feeling extremely refreshed and completely 100% there mentally. And I plan out my next war thing, my next war sprint, and I just go out and do it, right? And I dive right back in, but I'm fully recharged. My brain's 100%, and I can use that focus to go full war mode for like 2 to 3 days. And that's been really effective for me. It's helped me manage my projects really well, get things done with speed, accomplish major things really quickly. And it gives you like this sense of like fire and purpose as you go through those, like that war mode. And then on the recovery days, those are great days to kind of like branch out, deepen your skills. And again, you're not sitting around being lazy, but like the level of intensity is a lot less. You're popping back up, long-term focus, deciding on what your next blitz needs to be, your next sprint needs to be, and then diving back into it. That's how I like to manage my time on a larger scale, and how I like to manage my sleep. And I think it backs up to, I think it matches like our evolutionary history, right? So if you rewind the clock, 1,000, 2,000, maybe 5,000 years, when we're living in more tribal times, right? Let's rewind it let's rewind it like 10,000 years. 10,000 years ago, tribal, like whatever, living on like the steppes of Russia, right? You would have your little tribe. You'd have your little safe zone with your family and people and all that stuff, and you'd be cool. And every so often you'd go on either a hunting party or like a raid, right? And you get up, and for like 3 or 4 days you would travel, no sleep, boom, go over to the next area, right? Find the other camp, raid their camp, take their treasure, take their women, and come back, right? And you relax for 2-3 days there with all the victor of the spoils. Or maybe it's a hunting trip. You go up to elevation, find a big woolly mammoth or an elk, kill it, butcher it, take it back. There's 2 or 3 days where you're just going full war mode, right? You don't really want to sleep. You can't really sleep. You're moving fast, right? You're accomplishing stuff, and then you get the rewards at the end. And that's kind of how humans evolved for such a long time. That was the rhythm of life as a man, right? As a warrior, as a hunter, as a guy like that. And I've chosen to embrace that with my life when it comes to the projects I'm working on. And it's been pretty effective for me. But you can't stay in war mode forever. If you try and run at war mode, redlining for 24/7, you are going to burn out. And in the long term, which is the game we're playing here, we're playing a long-term game. In the long term, you die, right? The best way I found to do it is to have a sprint, 3 to 4 days where you're going mad crazy on a goal that's compelling. You go into war mode about it, right? And yeah, you're not going to sleep that much during that time. We're talking 3 to 6 hours of sleep, but you're so driven by the goals that you're chasing, that's pretty easy to get away with it, right? But then once you've accomplished that thing, or once you've made a big major dent in that goal, then you take a day and you just let yourself sleep, let yourself relax for that night. You just give yourself the full amount of sleep for your body and mind to recover. And then you pop back out, you plan your next thing, and you do it all over again. For me, that's what I found to be the most effective, right? There's if you go off the rails on either side of that, I tend to find problems, right? If I start trying to stay in war mode for far too long, I burn out, my efficiency drops, I get stuck chasing stuff, and I fail to see the bigger picture. And that's usually a pretty bad place to be. If I fall on the other side of it, where I'm just sleeping a ton all the time, lazy, laying around, getting 9, 10 hours of sleep a night for days and days on end, you'll lose your vigor for life. I found that I balance right in the middle where you go intense 3 to 4 days of war mode plus a day of recovery. And you just do that over and over again. It allows me to maintain a long-term focus, maintain my mental faculties at top 100% the entire time, but still get a lot done in the short term. It allows me to balance short-term versus long-term objectives really quickly. So I'm moving really fast on small chunks of a goal so that big goal happens a lot faster. So that's how I like to run my time, right? And a lot of you guys are going to have to find ways to adapt that to your own situation. But sleep is something that you shouldn't ignore. It's something you should take seriously. It's something you should manage carefully, right? The quality of your sleep, there's a lot that happens. Science is pretty clear that while you sleep, a lot of like subconscious work is being done. A lot of the things that you learn while you're conscious are like codified and like stored in the brain while you sleep. It's important that you get good sleep. The quality of your sleep is good, but I found that if I balance my time in that way, I'm able to get the full benefits of sleep while at the same time getting the full benefits of maximizing the amount of time and energy I can put towards goals on the short term. A big thing that helps you do that war mode is you have to have compelling goals, right? I like to ask myself, okay, like, what do I want to get done? What's the goal that I have? Okay, like in the next month, it'd be cool if I could like accomplish X. Like if you're just starting out and you're like, oh, it'd be cool to like finish the boot camp in like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. if I was you, I'd be like, wait a second, let's go full war mode for like 3 days. I'm going to blitz through all of it. Just mad focus, just like diving in, doing this. I'm going to get this done fast. It's going to set me up really quickly. I'll be able to start reaching out to clients faster. Yeah, that's my big, scary, like big, audacious goal. I'm going to try and compress that time frame. I just go full war mode and just get obsessed and focus on it for like 3 or 4 days. Yeah, maybe not sleep as much, but just go through and get the stuff done, right? And then once you're done, boom, take a day, get your full 8-9 hours of sleep, fully recover, and then enter your Legion, and then plan. Okay, here we go. It's time to figure out how to do my outreach. Here's my next goals. I want to dial in my outreach in like 3 or 4 days. How do I need to do it? Okay, boom, boom, boom. And you just dive in and make it like crazy mad war effort towards it. And then after that, pause, get yourself a full night's sleep, reevaluate. This helps you guys perform the OODA loop faster too, right? You can operate and act really quickly, but then you have that day that's really good for observing, orienting, and deciding every 3 to 4 days. That's how I like to run my life. So I recommend you guys adopt something similar. People are different. Your situation's different. If you're like working a hard manual labor job, you might have to take this a little bit differently. Your body might need a little more rest or a little bit less rest, depending on who you are. There's no like one right or wrong way to do this. I found that rhythm, whether like no matter how you adapt that to your life, has been really helpful for me and a lot of people I work with. But you're gonna have to use your own personal judgment to make sure you're making good, sound decisions. You don't want to redline yourself too much. But these are some things that are going to help you manage your sleep so that you can get the full benefit of it. And so you can also avoid the major problems that come from people that are like, oh, you need to optimize every second of your sleep. The best way to get a good night's sleep is to work really, really hard that day, physically and mentally. It's really easy to sleep once you've actually done something meaningful with your day. Anyways, it's been a good talk for me, telling you guys what I think about sleep. It's things that I found very helpful. And if you're seeking to achieve a higher level of success in your life, this is a method of life. This is a rhythm of life that I found very meaningful, very successful, right? So take this, run with it, figure out how it applies to your situation, and use sleep as a tool. Don't become a slave of sleep. This is something, and there's a lot of people that do this, right? There's a lot of different things, sleep, planning, all these things where like, it's unclear in some people's lives whether sleep is their servant or they are the slave, like they use sleep or sleep uses them. Like they use planning or planning uses them. Some people become so dependent and dedicated to crazy things that it causes major problems. It's way better for you to make sure that sleep serves you. Find a way to use and manage your sleep so that it serves you and gives you the results you want, instead of becoming needy of sleep or dependent upon sleep. Learn how to manage sleep to where it helps achieve your goals. All right, guys, got some cool things for the boot camp. Working on one major update that's going to make it extremely easy for you guys to go through it quickly. I've already got an idea for the next month's challenge. You guys are doing really well inside the Legions right now, but we've got a lot of things in the work for you guys. So stay tuned in, because we got some fun things in store for you guys. It's been a good call. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'll talk to you guys then.